but I think it's a lot of self-hate, and I think you're perpetuating a lot of self-hate for not dating someone in your race.
Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So today we're back with another episode of your favorite, The Wind Down. And here I've got the lovely Lorraine here to just talk about, what are we going to talk about today actually, Lorraine?
We're going to talk about interracial relationships and all that comes with being in one, and just pretty much our whole experience being in an interracial relationship.
Yes. Yeah. And so, you want to get into it? Cheers.
Let's do it.
I want to start us off with giving people the context of where we come from. So before you were even in one or anything, I guess what our perspectives of interracial relationships were growing up.
So crazy enough, I've always found myself in an interracial relationship. Yeah, it was kind of the norm for me. I never actually really thought about it that deeply before. I was just like, oh, they look cute together. A very surface level thinking. It's not up until a few years ago. I was watching this interview with Dr. Umar. I don't know if you know him. And if you know him, he has very strong opinions about interracial relationships, because he says when you're in one, especially as a black person, that other person will never understand you fully because they don't understand your experience as a black person living in this world. Right? And I think that's when I actually started to think more deeply about interracial relationships and viewing it in that aspect of like, when you're in one, does that person or can they fully understand you as a person?
Right. Because
they don't look like you and they don't experience the world the same way that you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I began to like sort of break down my experiences in the past being in a relationship with white men, kind of thinking about all the things that were said to me and my experiences with them. It opened my eyes as to, wow, they actually never really understood me, and it came more across as a bit of a fetish sometimes, and I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, that's going to be a whole different topic.
Definitely, there's a lot of levels you have to, acknowledge and think about when you are in an interracial relationship. So yeah. How about you?
I feel like, look, in an ideal world, if everyone didn't have an opinion about everybody and everything, maybe interracial relationships could have been like not such a big deal.
Like
it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wish it could be that way.
Yeah.
But the world is telling us otherwise. Maybe I didn't think about it deeply either. For me, it was just like, because I didn't do much dating growing up either, just because I came from a pretty strict home and stuff like that. So I didn't even get a chance to think about it almost, because I was still trying to figure out like dating, period. But being in an interracial relationship now, I'm in a relationship with an Asian man. That's a different experience in itself to maybe being in a relationship with a white person, just because I feel like we both have something in common, which is we know what it's like to be different.
Exactly.
That's such an important thing, because again, the world will never let us forget it.
Never.
Yeah.
I got pretty lucky with my partner, so I'm dating an Asian man as well. And when Tana actually asked me, she's like, because she was talking about, she was talking about how she can't see herself in an interracial relationship because she feels like that person will just never understand what it's like. And that's what I appreciate about my partner Jerry, is that every time I've spoken about my experiences walking this world or living in this white man's world as a black woman, he's never shut down my experience. He's never, hey, maybe it's this, or made excuses, or he listened to me and accepted that that is what I experience on a daily basis, or in white spaces, or at work, or in the modeling world, being a content creator, all of that. He's just like fully been open and listened to my experience instead of like challenge it, which is, I feel like, is something that I have experienced when I was with a white partner. It's like, oh, maybe you're over-exaggerating. Maybe they didn't mean it like that. Maybe you can tell there's a difference between like a curiosity look or oh, they're cute, or I know what happened and I know how I felt in that moment. And I think, like you said, communication and having a partner that's willing and open to accept that your experience is different to theirs walking this world is really important, and that's something that I really cherish from my partner.
With my partner, it's the same. Like, he's always acknowledged that I have experiences as a black woman that he could never understand, just as much as I acknowledge I'll never understand what it's like to be an Asian man. So you know what I'm saying? It's like that equal like understanding and empathy is something, again, being people of color, we share that. And I think that's what makes it different. Don't get me wrong, not everyone is understanding.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some understanding people that are willing to like acknowledge your experiences. But again, will you really like know what it's like to be different? No. And I think because for me personally, it makes up a whole lot of who I am. The fact that I'm different. I don't think I could be with someone who couldn't get it.
Yeah, it's impossible because it's like how are we supposed to get together and me be comfortable with you or walking around with you in public knowing very well that you don't understand how people see us.
Yeah.
Like you're living in like this fairy tale world where no, everything is fine, and it's like unfortunately, like you said, we live in a world where people don't let us forget that we're different in certain spaces. And I don't think I could walk around with someone who doesn't understand that for sure, because I just feel like it's not real.
Like, can you think of off the top of your head an experience where you felt, you know, your partner was like didn't get it?
I mean, not in a very extreme way, but in just stuff like, you know, when you're in like the train and like someone's staring at you.
Yeah.
You're just like, why are you staring at me? You know what I mean? And you go and express that. Maybe the first thing they do is make excuses for like, oh, maybe they just liked your hair or your outfit, and it's like, no, you don't understand. They were like staring at me like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Type of vibe. Just little things like that, right?
But that's still, even that, it's the little things. Like,
it's the little things, yeah.
Because when I was living in Korea, my friends and I, they were African American friends. We were trying to go to this club, and the club was literally playing I'm in love with the Coco.
Yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah.
It's a hip hop song.
Yeah.
And the club was like, oh, sorry, we don't allow foreigners. And I'm like, sorry, what? And we were like, why are you playing our music then? Like, what are you doing out here?
Excuse me, what?
Yeah. I remember I told my partner, it was so important, like his reaction to it and how he told me, look, it's a bad experience. And you know, it sucks that you have to go through that.
Just that empathy.
That empathy and that understanding, and it's just like allowing you to even vent. Because some people will be very quick. I've had that.
To shut it down?
Shut it down.
Like, no, you're over exaggerating. It's just the club policy. It's like,
don't do that.
Yeah, don't belittle our experience, because you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like, and for the whole world to be telling you it's in your mind, you don't want to come home and hear it from your partner.
Exactly.
You just don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
As Black women, do you feel like society puts us more under a magnifying glass when it comes to like being in not even any society, but even our own communities?
Yeah.
Do you feel like they put us under like a magnifying glass more so than other interracial couples?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Hell yes. Clear example is Serena Williams. So, I don't know if you know much about her, but like Serena Williams has dated like Common. She's dated black men before, right? And now, but she's married to a white man, right? Yes. And I just remember all the stuff that used to be said about her. She used to be cool because, you know, she's tall, she's athletic, she has she's muscular, she has a big, beautiful bum, and she's dark skinned as well, right? So a lot of things used to be said about her. I remember, I was young, but I remember in the magazines or on like Facebook or Twitter or whatever, she'd be called like gorilla or bodybuilder.
They're still doing that.
Yeah, they're still doing that. Like black men are doing that. You know what I mean?
True.
Yes. So, and then she married a white man, right? And then all of a sudden it was, oh, so you see now these sisters don't want to, you know, be with a black man. They don't want to, you know, all of this. They go marry. And it's like, weren't y'all the ones calling her everything under the sun because she's muscular and athletic and, you know, has a big bum? Now, but y'all are pressed because she's married to a white man that appreciates and loves her, I assume. I got a DM about a year ago from an anonymous Instagram account, and you know, it started off, hey sis, I think you're lovely, blah blah blah, but I think it's a lot of self-hate. You're not even dating a black man, you're dating an Asian man, and I think you're perpetuating a lot of self-hate for not dating someone in your race. And I just remember reading it and I was like, oh wow. And she not only sent that to me, she sent it to a friend of mine. Yeah, she sent it to another friend of mine who's dating an Asian man as well. When I got that, I mean, I laughed, but then I was just like, why are you so pressed?
Yeah, why are you so
pressed? Because I love being black, and I love black women, I love black people. I think they're the most beautiful people on this planet. it doesn't mean that because I'm dating outside of my race, I'm like betraying my race in some sort of way. But my point is that that's what I get.
Yep.
When I tell people who my partner is, I get this kind of, especially from black men, I get this.
What could he do with all that?
Yeah, exactly. You get all of that, and you're just like,
actually, he can do a lot.
You can do a lot. Excuse me. Yeah. So I'm from South Africa, right?
Yeah.
And in South Africa, I'm seen as dark skinned. Back home, the preference for women is light skinned women, right?
It's so weird that you're saying that back home in South Africa, where I'm
in Africa.
Black men are abundant.
Yeah.
You would think they would be a bit more like knowledgeable, but it's true. I mean, whitewashing, let's not even get into it. It's only recently that I learned about how deep colorism is, because I grew up in Dubai, and Dubai, you're either black or you're not.
Which is the way it should be, in all honesty, guys.
It was actually when I met like my African American friends, and they talked to me about colorism a bit more. And some of them are like darker skinned than me, and then we talk about that. But it's funny because in my family growing up, I was the darkest.
So growing up, I never really actually felt like I knew I was beautiful. My mom told me I was beautiful from a young age, so she instilled that in me. But I don't think I ever got it from the opposite sex, unless it was like me being sexualized. Oh, Lorraine has a nice body. Or Lorraine has a nice bum. Or exactly. Or Lorraine has this and this and that from black men, though.
Yes.
Right. So I never actually felt like black men like me, because I never got the, hey, I want to get to know you.
Wow.
It was always like, oh, you're sexy, you have a nice bum. Even at a young age, I kind of clocked that as like, you don't really like me, you just like my body, or you're just sexualizing my body, or you just want to, be with me physically. I never got that, hey, I'm interested in you as a person.
Yeah.
Until it was like from like the opposite race or another race, right? So when I moved here, it was the complete opposite. Here, black men love black women, in my experience. I don't know, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I got here, I was like, y'all wanna holla? Y'all wanna holla? And I think that's why I always found myself in interracial relationships. And now that I'm in one, and then I meet like people out, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, that's my boyfriend, and I get the.
I got shocked.
It's like,
that's so toxic,
we spoke about fetishization. Have you experienced that, especially when you were in Korea?
100%. So when I was in Korea, I was a little bit in the dating scene, and I remember there was always this expectation, being a black woman and being a plus size black woman again, that you were just like a sexual being all the time, or you had a lot of like experience with sex, which was obviously not the case in my case, at least. It's like the way they even interacted around me, a lot of the Korean guys that I met at least, was very much like, they always felt like I had more experience, which obviously is different to everybody. I was very defensive actually when I met my partner at the beginning. It took me a while to trust, because I was very much like, I don't know what your intentions are.
Like, are you only here because you want to try out being with a black woman?
Yeah. Actually, growing up in the time that I've been in Australia, I've definitely had interactions with white men that have said, they've never been with a black woman before. They wanted to try out black women before. And I was like, So I didn't know what to expect really when I went to Korea, but then when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is familiar, but also, I've had it here, not just Korea.
That's so wild to me, because like I understand fully what you're saying, and I don't think I actually understood the concept of fetishization.
You got it,
fetishization. Until I actually moved here, and thing is like, it made me realize that that's what I was experiencing back in South Africa. So when I moved here, like, and I got on Tinder and stuff, and you'd get like people, you'd match with them, and they'd be like, oh, I've never tried chocolate before.
Yeah. I've had like white guys be like, African, mama, Nubian. It's so cringe.
And I always thought it was weird, but like I didn't know how to categorize that. Like now I know that was fetishization. But every time I'd go out, you'd get a white man coming up to you and be like, I like black women, and it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that information? Oh, now I'm just supposed to make out with you just because you've made that proclamation. Them saying, I like black women, is like, oh, we should feel so lucky, and like, oh my God, thank you. Oh wow, I'm so proud that you like. It's like, was my experience when I first moved here. But when I was single, dating around, and then like meeting people, and then they're like, oh, I like you, get your number, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you find out through text, they like, you know what, I'm a bit intimidated, because I've never been with a black woman, and like, I just want to try you out. Try me out.
Try me out.
Okay. All right. End of conversation.
I think when I was in Korea, when I was in the club again, just don't go to the club.
Don't go to the club.
All these clubs are just. One time I was out with my partner, and it was a Caribbean event. So, you know, there was like a lot of black people out here, and it was good because, you know, I don't see my people out there a lot. So it was the best time, and we both love Caribbean music. So we're like having a great time. And I'm a bit more out there than my partners as well. I'm out here like, you know, twerking or whatever. And he doesn't mind. He's like, go live your best life. Yeah. I remember there was this black man that literally, so my partner is here, and I'm here, you're dancing, okay? Yeah. This guy comes in front of my partner, he stands in front of my partner, and he's like, hey, where you from, da da da, and I'm just like, that's my man right there. And I'm very easygoing person, I think. So I'm just like, hey, I was like, come on, man, don't do all that. Yeah. Right there. And then he's just like, and then he pretended to be like, oh, I didn't even see him. Oh, this is your man? Oh I was like, girl, disrespect.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that happens to me as well. Yeah. It's like you see I'm like here with someone, they belittle it a little bit. Or they kind of like, nah, I can move however I want. I can get her.
This is my first interracial relationship. And I can only again talk from the perspective of like being a black woman with an Asian man, just because that's the only experience I've had. I noticed that there was a lot more belittling. Yeah, I wonder if it's because he's an Asian man, and because in society the way media perceives Asian men is very much like, oh, the nerdy, like, you know, submissive, almost shy, like he's not going to be out here going to talk to you.
Yeah, he's not going to do anything. I can just move on his girl.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's like a whole different thing as well. Yeah. But you've had experiences, you said, with like dating other men of another race, like white men and stuff. Do you feel like you got those experiences with that?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, really? Hell yeah. I don't think like they see the other person as a threat, or there's much respect. Because like, think about it, if that was a black man, do you think they would have reacted the same way or acted the same way? They would have been like, okay, cool. Yeah. She's with her man. But like, because like we're with someone of a different race, they underestimate that other person.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe overestimate their own like, their own abilities, because it's also mad disrespectful because you feel like you can step up to me even though I'm with my man and you think I'm gonna go for it. Wow, you're so disrespectful actually. So I honestly do think that
it doesn't matter about who you're with. If they're outside the race of like black, then they're still gonna get
they are those men that will overstep and still try to come and holler at you. Girl, I even got told, oh girl, let me tell you something.
Tell me.
A while ago, when I was younger, like I said, I've always found myself in interracial relationships, and this black guy told me, she's like, oh, so you've only been with, you know, the opposite race, so you've never been with a black. Yeah. He literally told me, he was like, so you haven't been with anyone.
Ooh.
That's a bit, yeah. But that's, and he was like, oh, so you actually haven't been with anyone. Like, but he was talking about like my virginity, and he was like, oh, so you're still a virgin then?
Oh my days. Do you think there's step into other women in other interracial relationships like that? Like, say a black man is with a white woman.
No.
Yeah, that's another thing we should.
It's fine when it's a black man in another race. It's fine. It's like, get yours, man. But when it's a black woman with another race, there's always some sort of like fight or drama or like politics or debate.
Politics.
It's like, why do you think that is?
Well, because because black women are just like, they're just the most picked on individuals in society, period.
100%.
Whether it's for our bodies, our looks, our intelligence, our
dating preferences.
We can have preference too, men.
It's like that even outside of race. A woman will say, I want a man that's rich.
Yeah, true.
And then they'll attack that. Yeah. But then he can say, oh, I want a white woman because they're less angry and less aggressive. Ooh. Then it's okay.
I've had that before, There was once this one black man, actually, we did not see eye to eye, sorry. And one time he blatantly said to me, because we were arguing about something, or it's not even arguing, I had a different opinion to him. Yeah. And he was like, this is why I can't be with a black woman, because you all have something to say about everything. I'm like, and we're lining up to be with you? Is that what you think as well?
And so is your mom not black?
Yeah! Sorry, don't forget where you came from.
Yeah! I think that's just being being a woman, especially being a black woman.
Being a black woman.
You're either gonna get vilified for dating outside your race, you're gonna get vilified for dressing a certain way, you're gonna get vilified for sleeping with men, even though you, it's the way. Yeah, it's like, I'm grown, I wanna sleep with whoever I wanna sleep. You're gonna get vilified regardless.
Exactly.
And I guess that's just the experience being a woman, and
being
on top of that, being a black woman. We just get it that much harder.
Exactly. And I think there's also, even in that, there's levels to it. There's like, you know, the different intersectionalities of like being a plus size black woman. There's like the darker black woman. There's
levels.
Like, there's levels to this bitch, but
it's also like internalized like stereotypes about black women as well. If a white woman did that, or a woman of another race like stood up and had something to say or had an opinion, oh, she's opinionated, she's strong, she's a boss.
She's a boss.
But then it's like, oh, but when I do it, I'm angry and aggressive.
The angry black woman trope.
Exactly. So it's like definitely internalized hatred for their own race as well, but also internalized stereotypes and misogyny, obviously.
Yeah. There's a term called misogyny for
black women, because that's how much I'm so glad that there's a term.
Yeah.
Because that's actually how much we get it.
We need a different.
Exactly.
Personally, from your experiences, what are the benefits and challenges of being in an interracial relationship?
Girl, the benefits, food. Oh my god.
Oh, true.
The food. I'm being exposed to like food that I didn't grow up eating, or that I only eat when I'm out. See, Jerry's a great cook, so he makes like amazing Asian food.
Yeah.
And I'm being exposed to like things that, like customs and things that I wouldn't necessarily have known growing up or done growing up. So for example, like I don't wear shoes in the house anymore. That's something that I never did up until like, you know, getting to know Jerry and stuff. And then the challenges, Jerry's so laid back, like I pretty much just like say whatever and he'll be like, okay.
You know, I wonder if like, because you just said it, because I didn't know this either, that he grew up in New Zealand.
Oh yeah, he grew up he's very westernized. Maybe that's also
what I'm
another
gonna say.
reason.
I wonder if that's western, because my partner, so Sangyo, he's Korean, born in Korea, like grew up in Korea. He's never lived in a Western country before. Yeah. So I wonder if that's like, that plays a part into it.
Definitely. I think it does, because, and I think that's why we haven't faced that many challenges, because even though I didn't grow up in a Western world, like South Africa's pretty westernized. So I think that's why we were able to find common ground so quickly and not have that many like clashes. And I think also because he's open-minded, I'm open-minded, like he always just wants to try everything, he wants to hear about it when I tell him that you know what I mean? And I'm the same way. I'm like, yes baby, make it for me, or let's go check it out, let's go to the temple if you want to. And you know, we embrace each other's like way of life. And I think that's why I haven't really experienced major challenges from him. But externally, I would say it's people. There's just certain people that you tell, oh yeah, this is my partner, and like you can definitely tell the energy changes, or the looks change, or you get like, I didn't think I could, you know what I mean?
Communication. Can we just talk about how important communication is? And that's one of the main things about any relationship, friendship, family, anything, but like specifically in an interracial relationship, because you have such different experiences, different perspectives.
Communication, because like there are parts where you're like, oh no, we just don't care about it, because like love is love, and it's like love is love, but you do realize we have differences and we need to talk about them,
especially for like future, if you are going to incorporate kids into your life and stuff. It's important to know like just like how you're going to bring up the child, and how mixed race kids, how their experiences are as well, like growing up.
Girl, I saw this TikTok about this. She was half black, half white, and she was raised by her white mother, and it was the fetishization of having a mixed child, right? But not being prepared to raise a mixed child, not being prepared
to do the hair.
The most basic thing, the hair, and up until to how that child is gonna walk this earth. Because even though they're half white, to everyone else they look black. You're not prepared to teach that child that. You just wanted a mixed race kid that looked cute with curly hair. For the aesthetics, and you weren't ready. So I have seen things like that where a white parent wasn't pretty much ready to have a mixed child. And I actually have spoken to Jerry about that. I'm like, you do realize if we get to that point and we have children, God willingly, you're going to have a black child.
Yeah.
And I've asked him, what do you think about that? And like, have you actually thought about how it is going to be an Asian man carrying a black child and what that black child's experience is going to be in this world? So yeah, you definitely need to talk about those things. And I feel like when you don't, and when you ignore each other's experiences again, that's how you end up breaking up. I mean, apart from the normal relationship
other stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. My partner, he's always telling me like, it's so important that you know your language well, because I feel like I can speak my language pretty fluently.
Yeah.
But not as fluently as English.
Okay.
And he tells me like, you should really know it to that level if you can.
Yeah.
Just because when you talk to your kid, you want to make sure like they're able to, if they ask you a question and like about your language,
you're able to answer it.
You're able to answer it in the same capacity as when you do with English. And I'm like, true? I never thought about it that way, but true. It's okay.
You know, I think I like that. I like how he like emphasize how important it is for you to like get in touch with like your language and know it stuff like that, which means that he respects your culture. And it's important for it, if you guys do get to that point, for it to be a part of your children's life. It's funny that you say that, because I feel like I'm the one that says that to Jerry, because like he grew up in New Zealand, like first generation Kiwi. I'm like, do you know how to speak Taiwanese? And he's like, oh, no, not really. Like, I hear him talk to his parents and like he'll throw it in there and like here and all of that, but like he doesn't know how to speak it fluently. I'm like, it's important because we're gonna be gossiping in front of you. Because I'm teaching our kids my culture. I'm telling them everything. So you need to, you know what I mean?
I think it was like on BuzzFeed or something. I don't know how reliable these statistics are, but a few years ago I saw this video where they said Asian men and black women are the least desirable group in dating apps. So it's funny, I always say like Sangyo and I, how us being together is our own little revolution. We're least desirable? Alright then,
let's get together.
In terms of benefits and challenges for us, benefits first of all is like that understanding, that empathy. You know, having that understanding, that empathy is so important. And I think we're pretty open-minded to an extent, definitely. In terms of challenges, cultural clashes. Like, we do have cultural alliances as well. Like, it's so crazy to think, you would never think Eritrea and Korea have something in common.
Girl, I swear, Asians and Africans have a lot more in common. A lot more in common, but continue.
So like, sometimes as well, it works against us, the cultural stuff, because it could be little things like certain beliefs that it's like, oh, we don't really do that. Like, that's the opposite thing for us, or that's a negative thing for us. That kind of stuff sometimes like seeps into our relationship, I guess. Like, what's your main takeaway, if you have any takeaway from today's conversation? Like, I feel like what I can reflect on is, it's interesting how I never thought about how, like you said, your partner grew up in a Western country, and I never thought about how that could actually obviously be an impact as well into how you guys have your relationship as well. So that was really interesting. I never thought about that.
I actually did ask him. I was like, so he grew up in New Zealand, which is a very diverse country, right? Well, he went to a very diverse school. So I did ask him, I was like, do you think your influence being in New Zealand made you, because let's actually talk about something in the Asian community. We do know that there's a lot of racism in the Asian community, especially towards dark-skinned people, black people, right? So I did ask him, I was like, do you think the fact that you grew up in New Zealand, is that why you like black women, or you were open to dating one? And would it be different if you grew up in Taiwan, where fairer skin is more preferred and stuff like that? So I think what I would take away from this is just like, one, speaking about it made me appreciate Jerry a little bit more, because it's like, he's so open and understanding when I talk to him about these things, never shuts it down, and he actually like takes it seriously, you know what I mean? And secondly, I think it just got me thinking more about how like the world perceives us as a couple, because I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I love him, that's my man, ooh, yes. But there are times where I actually do get nervous to like, hey, this is my man, around, especially around predominantly black crowds or black person or all of that, because I'm just so nervous about the reaction I'm gonna get. Like, I don't want him to get any hate, and I don't want us to get any hate, because I don't want that type of energy around our relationship. So I think now I'm like thinking more about how I actually just shouldn't care about what anyone thinks.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, okay, people are gonna gonna say whatever, but at the end of the day, they don't know what mine and Jerry's dynamics are, right?
Yeah.
Why we ended up together or how we ended up together. And yeah, okay, cool, you think it's self-hate,
but
which is funny, but
so
it
funny.
really isn't. Like you just don't understand the dynamics. And also it's like, I didn't like, hey, I'm gonna date that Asian guy because I hate black people.
Exactly.
So
They
like,
really think it's an agenda.
Yeah, it's like I didn't
swear.
plan this because I don't want to have black children or I don't want to be around black people. No, I'm around black people all the time.
Exactly.
So I think that's what I'm going to take away from this.
Yes.
I think I want to discuss more about how me and him are around other people.
Yeah.
And I think just being appreciative of him and grateful
Yeah,
of the way he is. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Being more grateful for how open-minded and understanding our partners are. My partner, he never been with a black woman before, but he never makes it feel like he's never been with a black woman before. You know? And it's so important.
It doesn't make you feel like this alien, like, oh, I've just discovered something.
Exactly. I think that's the difference between like fetishizing and not. I really think environment definitely plays a part into it, but it's not all there is, because these people can willingly go out and learn things themselves. They can choose to not be ignorant. Anyway, I think, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. Lorraine, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
We just like
good.
talking. I really appreciate you coming here and sharing your experiences. Shout out, can we just shout out all the people out here like in interracial relationships, really trying to make it work when the world is telling you you can't make it work. And there's just like so many things against you. We're really rooting for you, and I'm rooting for you. And your relationship. Thank you. We really need it. Other than that, like, give us some plugs, girl.
If you were wondering why we're matching today, it's because we're wearing Lounge by Law, which is my brand. It's a loungewear brand, but can be so much more as well. So keep a lookout on that. It's all about being comfortable, feeling put together, and looking good. We're having a 50% off sale Black Friday, November 26th to November 29th. So make sure you check it out.
Yes.
I'm sure my girl will put it on the screen or down in the description box.
I'll plug all of
So yeah, make sure you check it out.
Support black women, support black women businesses, please. Thank you all for watching. Please drop down in the comments below what you thought about the conversation today. As always, thank you for the love. Please make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. So I am Milena B, sending you love and light. Until my next video,
We out.
I stopped drinking because I'm like, I need to chill.